games today on the Tuesday slate. So we're gonna get started. Go through what the model's seeing. I do have college basketball and NHL at the end of the video. So if you want to go ahead, you can skip ahead to those if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for basketball, we're gonna go through these games one by one. Here's the recap for yesterday. We did decent on the spreads. The model was not very good on the over unders. Some injury issues on some of these, some blowouts, things like that. So again, spread was 4 out of 7. We got Charlotte, we got Cleveland, Portland, and Memphis. And missed on Chicago, Indiana, and Golden State. Golden State ended up sitting Steph. Plus, they obviously had Butler out, all that. So Minnesota was trying to get a little revenge on getting blown out the night before. So, but go through. We'll start doing the games now for today. All right, so we got Portland going to Washington today. Model has Portland by 2, 114 to 112. Started out at 1 point this week for Portland, flipped very briefly, pretty much pick 'em .1 towards Washington. It's gone back slightly towards Portland. The total has been dropping. Started at 235, it's down to 225 today. A lot of that is going to be injuries. Avdia's been out, and since he's been out, they've lost the last 2 games. They've been under 100 points in each game. So all that is being shown in this. He's questionable today. So if he doesn't play, obviously that's a big hit. If he does play, I would probably look more towards their predicted score earlier in the week because he adds a lot to that offense. Um, so it does have Washington covering the spread, and it has the under against Vegas. Vegas has the spread at about 7, and the over/under is set at about 232, 233. Um, Washington's defensive rating is terrible. They're at 118, almost 119, versus Portland's is 111, so kind of middle of the pack. And then Portland's offensive rating is slightly higher than Washington, so they do score a little bit more per 100 possessions. So again, I think this one relies heavily on Abdia. Washington's 6-15 at home. They're 1-9 in their last 10. They've lost the last 9, so obviously they're 0-5 in their last 5. They still haven't won since they traded away McCollum. A lot of them early were double-digit blowouts. Recently, they've been putting up a little more points. They have 110 in 4 of those games, and the last 3 they've lost by 6 or less. So 3 of the last 4, I mean. So in those 4, they played Charlotte, they played the Clippers, and they played Denver twice. So not terrible teams, actually pretty decent teams. Even Denver without Jokic, they've been doing pretty well. So 6 or less in the last 4, or 3 of the last 4 games, and Portland's been under 100 in the last 2 games without Abdia. So again, I would wait and see on the final injury report. If Abdia plays, I would be on Portland probably to cover the spread. Um, I don't know Washington. Like I said, they've been keeping them close and they've been putting up points. So I think this one would probably be a little more favorable on the over if Abdia plays. That would probably be the best side that I would find in the game. Okay, now we got Sacramento going to New York. The model likes New York to win by 10, 117 to about 107. The Vegas market has it at 13.5 point spread, so huge spread. New York does play better at home. They're 17-6 at home, 4-6 in their last 10, 2-3 in their last 5. And Sacramento is 3-19 on the road. They're 4-6 in their last 10, 0-5 in their last 5. But they did win the only head-to-head. They won 112 to 101 in Sacramento back on the 14th of this month. Um, Big things in this game are going to be Zach LaVine and Malik Monk are both questionable. I believe they were without LaVine last game, but Monk was stepping up. They still got blown out, but he was stepping up and hitting threes, and he's been playing really well. So if both of them don't go, that's a big hit to their scoring. I already think they're going to have a hard time keeping up with New York, just with it being at Madison Square Garden, the way both teams have been playing recently. Um, I just think that home court advantage is probably going to flip it. I don't know about 13 and a half points. Obviously, they blew out Brooklyn by almost 50, and I think that's where a lot of this line is coming from. That was at home, but it's just a huge, huge spread. they build it early and it ends up going to the bench, they might claw back a little bit of that at the end. So the model likes Sacramento to cover the spread, and it likes the under on this. It has it at about 224. Sacramento has a pretty decent offensive rating, 116.3. New York's is actually under that, 115.5. But if Levine and Monk don't play, then that offensive rating definitely goes down. And then if you look at the defensive rating, Sacramento's all the way up at almost 119. New York, again, kind of middle of the pack, 111, almost 112. So defense definitely goes to New York. Offense slightly to Sacramento, but if you factor in the injuries, it's going to go back to New York, in my opinion. So I would probably buy this down to about the 10-point range. I think New York will probably get double-digit win out of this, maybe even 7 or 8 if you can find a good line. But I'm not a big fan on playing the 13-point lines. I know I've said that on here before. And then the total 230 is going to rely heavily on if Sacramento can score or not. If Sacramento is keeping up through the first half, this might be a better one for a live bet. And if they're scoring early, try to take the over. I'm sure it'll bump up if they are scoring early, but I would not. I think this game has a potential to stall out if New York gets a big lead and if Sacramento is missing those pieces. Next game is going to be Milwaukee going to Philly. Model has Philly winning 112-107, so 5 points. Favorite is about 10 points for Philly from Vegas. The total is right around 219, 220, which is exactly where the model is, 219. So it's slightly on the overside, and it is on the Milwaukee spread side. Milwaukee's won both so far. They won the first one in Milwaukee in overtime, the end of November. And then early December, they won by 15 in Milwaukee. So this time they are at home. Injury list is going to be big in this. Embiid is probable. George is questionable for Philly. They both did not play last game, and Philly was only able to get 93 points in Charlotte. And then obviously Giannis is out, and then Porter Jr. is still out for Milwaukee. So a couple big players for both teams. Looks like Philly will at least have one of their pieces. Philly is 12-13 at home, 4-6 in the last 10, and 2-3 in the last 5. Milwaukee's 9-14 on the road. They are 4-6 in their last 10 and 1-4 in their last 5. So, like I said, I believe that injuries will be the biggest factor here on the spread side of things. The fact that Embiid's probable, I would expect him to go, so I would think Philly wins the game at least. And then, as far as if George plays, I think they can cover double digits. If he doesn't, and the spread still stays where it is, I think I would probably buy it down a couple points. If you look at the defensive ratings, Milwaukee's at about 115, so three points higher than Philly per 100 possessions, and then they're about the same on offense. So Milwaukee gives up a little bit more points. They score about the same amount of points, but that is recent games, but not including the injuries. So obviously, all these players have missed some games. It's factored in a little bit, but I would think that the Milwaukee offensive rating and defensive rating are both going to take a uh, decrease in defense by meaning it's going to go up. They'll give up more points because of their injuries. Embiid, if he's going and he's healthy, he's been pretty dominant so far this year. So I really like Philly if he's going. All right, next game we got is New Orleans going to OKC. Very big spread here, 14, 15 points. And OKC still does have some injuries. They've struggled a little more recently. They're only 2-3 in their last 5, but they are 7-3 in their last 10 and 20-4 at home. So still good overall. Still way better at home. But they still have Caruso out. They still have Hartenstein out, and they still have Jalen Williams out. J-Dub. Cason Wallace is questionable. And New Orleans looked like their injury list was pretty clean, at least this morning. It could change throughout the day. OKC has won both so far. They won by 31 back in early November. That one was in OKC, and then they won by 17 in New Orleans in mid-November. So both were a while ago. But New Orleans, they are 5-17 on the road. They're 4-6 in their last 10, and they are also 2-3 in their last 5. But in their last 4 games, they've won at San Antonio, they've won at Memphis. They only lost by 8 in Detroit, or at home to Detroit, and then they only lost by 9 in Houston. Houston plays way better at home. So the 15-point spread, I think, is pretty crazy, unless New Orleans ends up having injuries that just were not listed when I looked this morning. But New Orleans hasn't been getting blown out. They have, like a month ago, half a month ago or whatever. There's been some games, but it's not been consistent. They've been staying in games. Like I said, they just won at San Antonio, and that's not like an easy thing to do. So to go from a win in San Antonio to getting blown out by 16 points in OKC seems kind of crazy. The model started at OKC at 2, it went up to about 7, and it's down to about 4. So it's not the model's not super high on OKC, especially not anywhere near that. So I would be on the New Orleans spread side of things. That's where the model's at. The model also likes the under, 225 ish, and that's about 8 to 10 points under what the total is for Vegas. So it's been pretty consistent there. Started 228 and it's dropped. OKC is still having the injuries, so it seems like that's starting to catch up to him a little bit. SGA can't just do everything. Chet helps him out, but they really need Dort. The other Jalen Williams, they need all of those role players. And with Case and Wallace is questionable, that's a role player they won't have tonight. Like I said, I think New Orleans spread is probably my favorite on this just because of how high that is. I just don't, while it's possible, I don't see it happening with recent play. The underside, I'm not too thrilled on either of those. I don't think this is a great game for that. If you look at the offensive ratings, both teams 117, 118. Those are very good. Um, New Orleans' defensive rating is 114, so that's not very good. And OKC's is down at 105. So if OKC can hold them to lower than their offensive rating, OKC's going to score points. But with as injured as they are, they're not trying to run away with any game. So I like New Orleans to cover the spread as my favorite, and I'm just not a big fan of the total. We got Detroit going to Denver. Detroit is 8-2 in their last 10, 4-1 in their last 5 and 14, and 6 on the road. Denver's been right there with them, 7-3 in their last 10. They're 3-2 in their last 5 and 12-8 at home. So even with the injury to Jokic long term, Gordon's been in and out, Murray's been in and out, Watson's been in and out, Christian Brown's been out. So today they're going to be without Gordon, Brown, and Jokic. It looks like Murray, Watson, and Valanciunas are questionable or are probable. So if those three play, that'll definitely help out Denver. But the three that are not playing will definitely hurt their depth against a team like Detroit. Detroit's bench has been playing really well along with the starters, and it seems like they've been getting better. I know they lost to Houston, but it seemed like a pretty emotional game, and Houston was coming off that emotional loss to Philly the night before. Denver, even at home, I'm not sure they have enough right now with all those injuries to play with a team like Detroit. If you want to look at defensive ratings, Detroit is 101. That is very, very good. Denver's about even on both sides of the ball, 112.5 on their offense, 111 on their defense. Detroit's a little bit better on their offensive. So Detroit is middle of the pack, but good on offense, and they are one of the best defensive teams. Their injury report looked very clean. I didn't see anyone on there. No head-to-head data this year, so nothing to go off of on that. The model, as you can see, it's actually started on Denver at 3 points. Flip went down, hovered around 1 to 2 until day 6, and then it flipped to Detroit, and then it grew on Detroit. So right now it's sitting at Detroit at about 5 points, 4.5, and that is exactly where the market is. A couple points more. Actually, I think it started at 5.5, drifted to 6.5. I would not expect it to go up even a couple more points. The higher it goes, the riskier it gets, and the less I like it. But I do like Detroit to win this game. Just the way they've been playing, I think they are the better team with the injuries. Obviously, Jokic comes back and Gordon's healthy, and all of that could easily change. But the defensive side, I think the I'm surprised it actually is going on the over. I guess it's just because it's a super low total. But it's been dropping. 227 dropped all the way down to what it's at right now, 219 and a half, the same as Vegas. So the underside of things, I think if you bump it up a few points, will be a lot safer if you can find a good line. Just with how low that is. But Detroit's a good defensive team, and they don't like to run away more than they have to. They play a lot of close games. That last one against Sacramento got really high scoring, but that's not a normal occurrence. So I like Detroit with a smaller spread. I like the under with a little bit higher total. Not my favorite game to pick, I don't think. At least not on the total side. Um, but I do like Detroit. Detroit looks really good, and they should easily win this game, even on the road. They're not terrible on the road. They're still 14-6. So, all right, next game is going to be Brooklyn going to Phoenix. These teams just played back on the 19th, and Phoenix won 126 to 117. That game was in Brooklyn. So, today the model has Phoenix at 112, Brooklyn at 105. Vegas has the spread at 9-10 ish, and the total is incredibly low, 211 to 213. So it likes the model likes Brooklyn to cover the spread, and it likes the over. Uh, and if you look at the offensive defensive ratings, Brooklyn's defensive rating is the worst we've seen, 120. Phoenix still has a worse defensive rating than offensive rating. Theirs is 113, and then we got 105 and 109. So lower ends of the offensive ratings and middle range to then high range of the defense. So I'm pretty surprised this is as low of a total as it is. I know both teams can struggle to score, but with the defenses as bad as they are, especially on the Brooklyn side, I have a hard time believing that Phoenix won't get going from three today. They do have Booker out again. Jalen Green is questionable. If he goes, that's huge for them. Their offense looks terrible without both of them. They just they have good shooters, but they can't move the ball. They don't have anyone that can cut. They don't have speed on the offense. So if Jalen Green can go, that adds a boost of speed that that offense really needs. He can kick the ball out to those shooters once he gets in, and he can drive too. So if he goes, I really like the over. Um, the spread is still pretty big. I know Brooklyn's terrible, but they have a tendency to sometimes stick around in games till late. This is one of those games that I think they could stick around until late if Phoenix shoots like they did last game. I want to say Grayson Allen was 1 for 11 from three. Uh, Brooks only had two. Gillespie ended up with three, but they've been struggling without Booker or Green, without someone in there that can cut the defense. They look very stagnant. The defenses can play them very hard when on these shooters. Um, so Phoenix is 14-6 at home. They're 6-4 in their last 10, 3-2 in their last five. Brooklyn is 6-5 on the road. They are 1-9 in their last 10 and 0-5 in their last five. They have Cam Thomas probable, and Clowney is out. So Thomas playing will help Brooklyn, especially on the offensive side. That could help them. That would help the total going over, in my opinion. Um, wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be a huge boost to their defense, but he can hit some threes. He can also drive a little bit, so that would help them out. I would be on Phoenix side, but I would probably buy it down a little bit. I think I like the model more. Maybe it's 6, 7 ish. The over just seems way too low to me. I can't believe that it's barely over 210. With as bad as the defenses are, I just don't see this being a defensive game. Last game for NBA before we get into the NHL and college is going to be the Clippers going to Utah. So the Clippers won opening night 129-108. They also and then Utah won 118-101 in LA on New Year's Day. So both teams won on the road, but injuries here again, kind of like a repeating record, broken record, whatever. It's going to be the biggest thing. Utah looks like they're without Keontae George. Markkanen's still questionable. Those are the two biggest pieces to that offense. Without either of them, this should be a lower scoring game because I would expect the Clippers to take the lead and not have to do much with it. Utah's 10-14 at home, 3-7 in their last 10, 1-4 in their last 5. I don't know exactly how long Markkanen's been out, but once he went out, they have just struggled. Clippers on the other side have been hot, 8-10 in their last, or 8-2 in their last 10, 4-1 in their last 5. They're 8-15 on the road, but in their last 5 road games, they're 4-1. So very bad early. They've been better recently. They do have Kawhi and Dunn as questionable. Obviously, Kawhi is a big boost to that offense. I have a feeling if Markkanen doesn't play, Kawhi will probably not play. If he's needing to rest, if he is injured, there's no reason to push him in a game they very likely won't need him in. And Utah, if we look at these ratings, they wanted to break Brooklyn's record. They are at 124.9 on their defensive rating. That's points per 100 possessions. That's absolutely terrible when they're only putting up 111.7 per 100. So the Clippers on the other side, 116 on their offense to 108. So 8 more per 100 possessions than they're giving up. So significantly better for them. And if you put them against each other, it's 116 versus 125 and 112 versus 108. So the Clippers are going to try to hold the score down. Utah is the team that tries to run away. And if their two biggest playmakers are not playing tonight, that's probably not an option. So yeah, I think my favorite on this is probably the under. I know the model says over. It's like in Clippers 128 or 124 to 118, but there's too many. If everybody plays, I guess if Markkanen plays, if Kawhi plays, I would not touch the over under. I would probably just go on the Clipper side. I think that's. I'm surprised this isn't the game with a double digit spread or a higher double digit spread. The OKC game to me didn't make a lot of sense with everything going on there. This game made more sense to have a higher spread to me because the Clippers have been hot, Utah's been banged up, and they've just been struggling. They have these really weird wins like the win they had in Minnesota, but it's not consistent. It's not anything to lean on. It's more just streaky players. So again, if the injuries, if they don't play, I love that under. Um, if they do play, then I'm on the Clippers on the spread. All right, so here we got the NHL. Got it ordered from the highest confidence of the model for the day to the lowest confidence for the day. It's very high on Washington going to Seattle. I'm not sure on that one. I don't see why. Seattle's been pretty decent. Washington seems like they've been losing to teams that can't win recently. The Vancouver's only win in their last like 12 games was Washington. So seems a little weird for them to be on the road and the model loving them so much, but they see something that they like. So next highest, it likes St. Louis winning at home against Dallas. Dallas has been struggling more without Ben, so I could see that one happening. Um, Started out at point 0.2 and it's actually grown to about 0.9. So that's everything you want to see. You want to see it growing in the right direction throughout the week. That's building confidence. So for the Chicago at Minnesota, it likes Minnesota. Started at point 0.2 and it also has been growing. It grew and then it shrunk back down from day 4 to day 5. So stayed right there, still about 0.7 in their favor, and it's never picked Chicago. Chicago's biggest thing is just their goaltender. If Spencer Knight has an on night, then Chicago can win with a shutout. But other nights he is very leaky early, gives up a couple early goals, and then they have to chase, and they're not an excellent team. So when they get in chase mode, it's not always in their favor. Um, Maybe you want to wait and just make sure Spencer Knight doesn't give up a goal in the first 10 minutes. Sometimes he'll give up 2 in the first few. So, but Minnesota should be pretty good. They've been playing good recently. They're definitely the better team, and they're at home. So I like that one. LA going to Detroit. Detroit has been a good team recently. They They struggle. They're pretty streaky at times, but they have been playing well recently. They play better at home, and that's where they're at. So started at point three, grew a little bit on day three, shrunk back down a little bit day five, and it's just hung right there for the last few days. So it's pretty confident that Detroit will win. But again, these ones that hang right around three, you're always at risk for either a 3-3 overtime or a 4-2 empty net goal at the end of the game. Those are the big risks on the games that end up staying close and are right around that 3-point mark that I've noticed so far this season. The other medium confidence ones will be Boston and Vancouver. Again, like I said, Vancouver's been terrible. The model likes Vancouver for some reason, and the game they won, it did pick them, but it's also picked them in a couple games that they haven't won. San Jose is not a fantastic team, but Vancouver's been absolutely awful. Even being at home, that would be a tough one for me. Boston, on the other hand, Nashville doesn't always play up to their potential. Boston's another one with a goalie that can change the game for him, Swayman. I'm not sure if he's going tonight or not, but uh, both teams are pretty good. That might be one where you want to take an over. I'm not sure if it's at 5.5 or 6.5, but I could see both of these teams scoring tonight. Being in Boston, Boston tends to score a little bit more at home. The rest of those games, the low confidence, if you look at them, the one started as a push, went to Toronto. The other one's been on New Jersey most of the week, had a quick flip on day five, flip back day six. Vegas and Montreal, flip to Montreal day three, back to Vegas day five. And then the bottom one is the lowest confidence just because it has been changing pretty much every day. Florida, push, Florida, 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 Utah, Utah. So Utah's been a really good team recently. They were on a 5-game win streak until they lost to Tampa. So they're on the second day of a back-to-back, but they only lost 2-0 to Tampa yesterday, and one of them was a very late goal on a power play with like a minute left. So I would imagine they're on their backup goalie today and probably going against Bobrovsky for Florida, which would push me more on the Florida side just because of the goaltending edge and then tired legs for Utah there. All right, now here we got the college games. Again, had an issue with my model, well, with my computer shutting down in the middle of the night while the model was running earlier this week, so missed a couple days. So I believe now it is day 2 to day 3 is actually a 3-day gap. There's 2 days missing in between there. So we do have it ranked here, top confidence down to the low confidence. It is by the day. It's not, if you compare confidence from day to day, it's not going to be the same. It is a per day thing. So the more games, the more you can kind of figure out the confidence level. The less games gets a little trickier. You're going to want to look at the spreads a little more. Uh, so VCU is the highest confidence on this one. I liked them by 18 points earlier in the week. Still likes them by 15. So as you can see from day 4 to day 5, it went from 19 down to 15. That is likely a spread thing. The model finally got the odds from Vegas that it has on the game, and it adjusted it down. So the model is probably liking VCU to cover the spread, um, just based on what I'm seeing right there. I didn't look at college spreads because that's a lot of information to try to go through. Trying to get this out for y'all at a time when you can actually watch the games and get it in. So next confidence is Akron with Toledo. Started at Akron with 13-point win, stayed right there, went to 14, still at 14 today. So the model's very confident on that game. Has only changed 1 point throughout the 4 days that it's predicted for it. Akron is a good team. Toledo has struggled at times. I hate the MAC. The MAC in football and in basketball, it seems like whatever looks good is not what happens. But I think Akron should cover. I don't know what the spread is, but if it's in the 10 to 14 point range, it's looking like it's probably pretty good. UConn, model likes them to win. The confidence, like I said, it is to win. It's not on the spreads. So for UConn, it likes them for about 9 points, and it went up to or about 11 points, and it went up to 13 points. So pretty confident on UConn to beat Providence. It is in UConn. If it was in Providence, I think it'd be a little bit more of a struggle. But UConn hasn't been playing as well recently. I I'm not sure what that spread will be at, but I would probably want to lower it a little bit more because I'm sure they're going to try to get you at a higher spread on UConn because of how they played on the season. But the last few games they've been a lot closer than normal. So the other high confidence ones are St. Louis, Alabama, Stephen F. Austin, and Michigan State. And then the medium confidence will be Miami of Ohio all the way down to Virginia Tech. Some of these games are going to be a little early today. Some canceled games from yesterday I know are getting replayed, are getting played today. So I got one more slide. We'll flip over there real quick for the rest of the games. And these will be the rest. So Prairie View A&M down there, lowest confidence. Nevada is still a low confident tier, but as it does drop as it goes. So Prairie View A&M, as you can see, it did flip between day 2 and day 3. Kind of went to even, but considered it a flip from a 16 point or from a 6-point favorite. So that's why there's no confidence really there, is because they thought they were going to win easily, and now it thinks the other team's probably going to sneak it out. So then if you look at the top one, Nevada was a 6-point favorite, 5-point favorite, still at a 5-point favorite. So the spread is smaller. That's why it's not as confident as some of those higher ones, but it's still been in the same direction all week. Only dropped 1 point. So if you can get a good money line on that one, maybe, or maybe like a 2 or 3 point spread, would probably be the best bet because it did decrease a little bit, but it's still 5 points from 6 points, not a big decrease. So that's what you're looking at on these college games. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just look at the predicted day by day, see which way it's leaning, and that's normally the way that the teams are trending at the time. So if you have any questions, again, drop them in the comments. Let me know. If there's anything I've left out that you want in these, let me know. Like I said, there's a lot of information I have that just takes too long every day to try to go through and get stuff in here, but I'm more than happy to help out. So good luck if you're going out today. Make sure you're doing your own research, and we'll see you tomorrow.